McLaren enters the Singapore Grand Prix weekend with a chance to write history, standing on the brink of sealing their 10th Constructors Championship, their second in a row, after completely dominating the 2025 Formula One season. With an enormous 333-point lead over Mercedes, all they need is a handful of points under the lights at Marina Bay to make the achievement official. For the team, it is the culmination of years of rebuilding, engineering brilliance, and consistent performance. But as McLaren prepares to celebrate, a far more complicated challenge is brewing inside their garage. The real fight is no longer about the constructors' crown. It is about the Drivers' World Championship, and it is shaping up to be a fierce battle between teammates Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. For months, McLaren CEO Zak Brown and team principal Andrea Stella have enforced what they call the Papaya rules. Under these rules, both drivers receive the same machinery, the same treatment, and the same freedom to fight each other on track. No team orders, no number one driver, just a simple philosophy: let the best man win. This philosophy has fueled McLaren's rise to the top, creating harmony, motivation, and a strong team identity. But with the season now in its final stretch, that approach is about to be tested to its absolute limits. After Singapore, only 7 races remain, and the gap between their two stars is razor thin. The question now dominating the paddock isn't whether McLaren will take the Constructors' title. They almost certainly will. It's how they will handle the collision course their two drivers are heading toward in the fight for the ultimate individual prize. Right now, Oscar Piastri holds the upper hand. The young Australian sits on 324 points, leading the championship in only his 3rd season in Formula One. He has built his campaign on calmness, precision, and consistency. Just behind him is Lando Norris with 299 points. The Briton is only 25 points adrift, close enough that a single race result could swing the balance. But it isn't only a two-man battle. Lurking just behind is Red Bull's Max Verstappen on 255 points. The 4-time world champion has clawed his way back into contention with several recent victories, and while he remains an outsider, any slip-up from the McLaren pair could open the door for him to pounce. This is Zack Brown's nightmare scenario. His refusal to impose team orders might delight fans, but it carries the very real risk of both his drivers tripping over one another and handing the championship to Verstappen. Still, Brown has remained firm in his approach. In a recent statement, he doubled down, saying, "The Constructors is looking very good, and what we want is our two drivers to fight for the championship. Just give them equal opportunity, equal equipment." It's a bold stance that feels like a throwback to Formula One's earlier days, when teammates were often each other's fiercest rivals. But in the modern era, where every point counts and split-second decisions can determine titles, many wonder if Brown's gamble is brave or simply reckless. McLaren has repeatedly stressed that the team comes first, but with the Constructors' title all but secured, the drivers will inevitably start thinking of themselves. The psychological pressure is mounting. Both Piastri and Norris know that Verstappen is waiting to capitalize on the smallest mistake, and with 7 rounds to go, a single incident could tilt the championship entirely. In recent races, cracks have already begun to appear. Both drivers are pushing harder than ever, and subtle moments of tension have been noticeable on track. Fans and pundits alike are now asking not if, but when team orders might come into play. And when that moment arrives, will both drivers accept the call, or will one of them defy it in the pursuit of personal glory? Much of this fight will come down to mentality. Piastri has so far displayed remarkable maturity for such a young driver. He rarely allows the pressure to get to him and has thrived in high-stakes situations. But some experienced voices question whether he has the ruthlessness required to be a world champion. Former McLaren driver and 2-time world champion Mika Häkkinen believes selfishness is a necessity in a title fight. You need to be selfish. You need to think about yourself, what is best for you, Häkkinen explained. For a young driver like Piastri, challenging the team might look disrespectful, but Häkkinen insists that the great champions always have that edge, that willingness to put themselves above the collective when the ultimate prize is on the line. Former McLaren star David Coulthard echoed this sentiment, saying bluntly that racing drivers are inherently selfish. They've got to Formula One because they had their elbows out, because they've fought for every inch to get here, Coulthard said. He predicted that the so-called Papaya rules won't last forever. They both want to win, and there will come a point where they'll say, "Bollocks to the team, I want this victory for myself." That's just how this sport works. And Coulthard's football analogy summed it up best. When you've got the ball, you're going to take the shot. Right now, Piastri leads, but Norris is hunting him down. For Norris, this battle carries an even greater emotional weight. He has been with McLaren for 7 years, sticking with the team through difficult times, waiting for the day when they could finally deliver him a championship-caliber car. Now that McLaren is dominant, Norris finds himself blocked by his younger, less experienced teammate. Their friendship has so far held strong, but history shows how quickly relationships can sour in a title fight. Norris has always been viewed as one of the nicest personalities on the grid, approachable and well-liked. But niceness doesn't win world titles. Will that easygoing demeanor hold if he feels he is being denied the crown he has worked so hard to earn? The mathematics make this even more fascinating. A 25-point lead with 7 races left might sound comfortable, but in Formula One it is anything but. One mechanical failure, one crash, one poor strategy call, and everything can change. A single DNF for Piastri combined with a Norris win would immediately flip the championship standings. We've seen this before. Charles Leclerc in 2022 lost a commanding lead to Verstappen after a string of errors and reliability woes. That possibility looms large over McLaren's garage. The pressure is undeniable. Piastri continues to rely on his calm, measured style, but critics warn that championships aren't always won by consistency alone. Sometimes they require risks, bold overtakes, and uncompromising aggression. Norris, meanwhile, has shown flashes of brilliance but also moments where the weight of expectation has been visible. He knows this might be his best shot at a world title. With McLaren's dominance potentially facing new threats from rivals in 2026 and beyond, he cannot afford to let this chance slip away. Being the senior driver at McLaren, the one who has invested years into their rebuild, only adds to the psychological burden. What makes this duel truly captivating is the contrast in their journeys. Piastri rose through the junior ranks like a comet, winning Formula 3 and Formula 2 in consecutive seasons, and arriving in Formula 1 as one of the most hyped rookies of recent years. McLaren saw him as a long-term project, but his rapid progress has forced that timeline forward. He is delivering now. Norris, by contrast, has been the cornerstone of McLaren's rebuild. He endured the painful years of underperforming machinery, stood by the team when offers from elsewhere could have tempted him, and became the face of their revival. He has earned his shot through loyalty and patience. Now, fate has pitted him against the very driver McLaren recruited as its future. This is the dilemma facing Zak Brown and Andrea Stella. Whatever they decide will be scrutinized endlessly. If they let their drivers race freely and disaster strikes, costing the team victories and perhaps the championship, they'll be blamed for poor leadership. If they intervene with team orders, favoring Piastri or Norris, they'll be accused of breaking promises and undermining fairness. It is a no-win situation, but one that will ultimately define McLaren's legacy this season. The conflict is more than just sporting, it's philosophical. On one side stands the romantic ideal of fairness, of letting talent decide the outcome, a marketing dream of 2 drivers fighting openly for the crown. On the other side lies the cold reality of Formula One. Winning is everything, and champions are remembered for results, not for fairness. The final 7 races will test nerves, skill, and loyalty to the breaking point. Will Piastri discover that ruthless streak needed to clinch a title? Will Norris's friendly persona crack under the stress of being denied his lifelong dream? And will Zack Brown stay true to his Papaya rules? Or will the pressure of ensuring a driver's championship victory force him into a decision that could shock the paddock? Singapore, Austin, Mexico, Brazil, Las Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi. Each race will bring new drama, new opportunities, and new risks. The destiny of the 2025 championship hangs in the balance. What would you do in Zack Brown's shoes? Would you allow your drivers to fight, risking everything for the purity of competition? Or would you step in, make the tough call, and guarantee at least one of them secures the ultimate prize? Whatever happens, the battle between Piastri and Norris is set to define not only McLaren's season, but potentially Formula One's next era.